Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sonal Khetarpal, editor for SMEs at Financial Express Online. I would like to thank you all for taking time out today to attend this webinar that we are doing as a part of the 15-day digital campaign to celebrate the unabated spirit of MSMEs in the country. As we celebrate their resilience, it is important to acknowledge the role technology has played to keep businesses afloat. Now, there is enough evidence to show that SMBs who adopted digital technology have survived and thrived unlike their offline counterparts. In fact, SMEs will play a significant role in fulfilling the government's $5 trillion economy vision by 2025, and that will happen if technology adoption becomes a key focus area. According to Cisco India SMB Digital Maturity Study, Indian SMEs may add up to $158 to $216 billion to the GDP in the coming years, all thanks to digitalization. That's about 5 to 7% of our country's GDP. Today, we have with us a set of distinguished panelists to discuss the challenges firms face in their digital journeys, what makes some entrepreneurs succeed and others fail. Also, how can they use technology to differentiate, innovate, and increase their market access? They are, in alphabetical order, Mr. Anil Bharadwaj, Secretary General, Federation of Indian Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Mr. Jagjit Harode, Head Marketplace, Flipkart, Mr. Puneet Chandok, President, Commercial Business, AWS India and South Asia, AISPL, Mr. Somer Fukan, Director, India Business Consumption Sales, Intel, Mr. Shobhit Mathur, Director, Government and Public Sector, EY, India. I would like to start with Mr. Shobhit Mathur and Mr. Puneet Chandok on what are some of the challenges SMBs face, and then we can probably take the discussion forward on what are the possible solutions and alternatives. Shobhit, do you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, Sonal. Great to be part of this panel. A very relevant topic considering what we have seen over the last few years, a couple of years, especially with the COVID pandemic. I believe if we look at the MSME sector, especially in India, the challenges can be bucketed across four categories. To begin with, one of the biggest challenge I see is the know-how itself. The level of awareness among MSMEs as to what's out there, what are the different options, what does it mean for them? So their own awareness and knowledge is one of the big challenge I see working with MSMEs. The second big challenge, of course, is around their ability to get access to finance. We see huge challenges around cheaper credit in the country, the ability of the banks and the NBFCs in the country to actually evaluate business plans purely based on the merit of the business proposition and not on collaterals is one of the big challenge. Third challenge I see is around the MSME's ability to get access to skilled manpower. Their ability to get people, their ability to get workers who can handle work on some of the emerging technologies on one side, as well as getting the operation and maintenance support on some of these advanced equipment within the remote parts of the country is another challenge.
Great. So Shobhit, three key points that you have raised around awareness, access to credit, and also the shortage of talent. So maybe I would like to, understand from Somer, who, heads Intel, talks about computing devices, followed by Puneet, and then Jagjit, on the software side, on, like leveraging cloud, and, so what are the problems there? Do they have tech talent there or not? And what kind of hand-holding they require. So Somer, maybe we can start with you first here.
Sure. I think Shobhit made a great point about skill set and talent, right? I think if you look at skill set and talent, if you look at any kind of survey, it could definitely fall in the top three. Doesn't matter where you look at it. And now when you build about building skill set, as we talk about Intel, and I'll talk about Intel in terms of the concept and solutions and skill sets, right? So we are doing a few initiatives there. Number one, if you look at Intel's broader corporate vision, we talk about responsible, social, I would say inclusive, and then enabling through technologies, sustainable enabling through technology. The big piece of there is inclusive, right? So what you have started, when looking at skill sets, one part is the ability of skilled trainers for doing that. So what Intel is looking at one point is generating or committing to 10 million hours or volunteer hours for training people through skilled labor or skill training of people that we need that to do that. Number one, right? Number two thing is, if you really look at, we're introducing a concept called, or a program called specifically for India, being WISE. And WISE stands for Women Innovators, Social Leaders, and Entrepreneurs. So one of the big things we see out here is that if you can enable or make it smooth for the gender diverse or the women population coming into the work stream and help across the spectrum, whether it's for an organization or through the social spectrum, then it becomes a conversation of saying, hey, there's broader manpower to do that. Number two, right? And the last thing is, we have started with a case called AI for Youth. If you look at all the conversation about, the problems we talked about, whether it's about credit or leveraging technology, what have you, it'll all come down to data and analytics. We started with kids. You'll be amazed at the kind of turnaround and innovation that we're seeing from the youth. Now we're bringing it for AI for workforce. So in essence, we're trying to get the people trained up in the skills that matter so that you deliver to what India as an organization needs. I do want to add one thing, Sonal, that I thought I'd bring up, complementing what Shobhit said, right? If you look at India's SME economy, which forms the backbone that we talked about, and you do a segmentation, actually 60% is in rural and only 40% is in urban, right? Now, if you do that segmentation and then you start talking about rural, the question is, when you're looking at an agri conversation or a fish farming conversation, right? Or you're talking about anything like, mining or what have you, we should start thinking about solutions and technology that would make that part of our industry go better. Now, hopefully along the panel as we go through, the leveraging technology for that to make sure that this, big industries, agri, farming, right, fishing, or even like textiles. Think about power problems for textiles. How do we address that will be equally critical beyond the skill set when we talk about technology. I just want to lay it out there, complementing what Shobhit said, so they can hopefully address it as we go forward.
Yeah, great. So Puneet, do you want to, speak about some of the challenges and the concerns and how can cloud, and you're one of the champions of that, is addressing that?
First of all, Sonal, thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me. And I agree with most of what Shobhit and Saumar said, right? I mean, for India to move forward, we have to digitize SMBs at scale. And there's 75 million SMBs in this country. They are the backbone of Bharat. And there's no way we can move forward if SMBs don't digitize. I agree with everything they said. I think they spoke about awareness. They spoke about affordability and skills. I think there are two other challenges for SMBs from my vantage point. And we did a recent study with 3,000 SMBs and some interesting data that came out. Two additional things I want to add to that, right? One is simplicity. And I genuinely believe the S in SMB stands for simple. They need simple solutions, simple purchasing, simple selection, simple implementation, and ease of use. And we've got some work to do there. The other is support. And I think it goes back to the point that was made around skills, right? They need help on onboarding, ongoing customer support. They need human support, right? And it's not easy given just, as we said, right, large proportion of them are in tier 2, tier 3 cities in India, so reach is not easy. So simplicity and support are the two things that I'll add. I agree with Saumir's point around you can't brush 75 million SMBs with one, you can't paint them with one brush. There are different stages of adoption, right? So there are some which are very early, digitally literate, who are thinking about omni-channel mobile first solutions, payments, discoverability. There are some that are digitally operated now. So they're thinking about customer support and CRM and payroll and accounting. There are some that are digitally productive almost, who are kind of thinking about ERP. And then I'm seeing a new generation of digital SMBs come up in India around COVID, who are thinking about technology in a very different way, right? So the answer varies based on their business needs and where they are in their tech adoption cycle.
So this is a very important point, Puneet, that you have raised about how, the size of the business and the type of business also has to determines the technology that should be used and what kind of technology that should be integrated. So Jagjit, do you want to talk about some of the challenges you see when you work with SMBs?
Sure, I think all fair points in terms of what the challenges are. I personally feel I think there are these couple of related yet sort of relevant challenges that I see. So two sets of SMBs, right? I think Puneet touched upon it, and earlier even Shobit talked about it. There are SMEs who have sort of at least begun on this journey a little bit, and I happen to sort of interact with many of them who have tried to at least see what's out there, right? And lakhs of them, right? That number also runs in millions, because the one positive change that has been there is that while there is a majority which does not there is an awareness problem. I think there is a positive sentiment around technology being the future, and therefore a lot of youngish entrepreneurs and SMBs are sort of trying to figure out what is out there. And I think on that journey, what is useful for you, a lot of them have to make some investments. So what is the ROI of it?
Okay.
What do you as you sort of go along, you have choices. You'll probably go on internet, you'll see lots of things being thrown at you. What is relevant to you, how do you navigate the journey, is also as important. And I think while there is a large pipe on top of the funnel about awareness, accessibility, and all of that, there is as they're entering the pipe, there is so much more to be done there as well.
So we have a lot of questions actually on investments, how to look at ROI. Let's hear from Anil, who speaks to thousands and maybe has spoken to 20,000 SMBs by now, or maybe more. And it's an understatement. Anil, do you want to talk about the top tech challenges that you see when you speak to SMB promoters? Where are we right now? What are some of the anecdotes you would like to share with us?
Thanks for this opportunity, first of all. I would say that, we have to segmentize the whole universe of MSME in order to make any sensible comment. First of all, 90% of the MSMEs or maybe more are informal, which means that they are not registered anywhere. They are working under the carpet. They are there, but we don't know much about them. It's like, black matter. And then we have 10% of MSMEs, 60% in the services segment, almost 40% in the manufacturing segment. And the services sector, the units that are in services sector are comparatively better attuned to technological tools than the manufacturing ones. And in the manufacturing, again, there is a segmentation. If approximately 20% of manufacturing MSMEs are part of established supply chains. There could be domestic supply chains, those could be global value chains. Auto, for example. So those that are part of established supply chains, because of the pressures of the supply chain, they are much more, using technologies, digital technologies, hardware, software, the best of the practices. But those that are catering to scattered markets, there is a lot of, you can say, variation. So it's largely driven not by the market forces, but by the intelligence or the ambition of the owner. Sometimes when their second generation, young boys and girls coming out of engineering colleges, and they are prodding their parents, why don't you computerize it? Why let's make a website and let's get ourselves registered with e-commerce platforms and so on and so forth. So these kind of different dynamics is playing out in different segments. But one important thing that I would like to say at this stage, and we can follow it up later, is that although COVID has devastated many lives, disrupted value chains and economies, but there is one good fallout of it has been that it has suddenly exposed a large number of MSMEs to digital tools. So they have been forced to shed this inertia and start using it primarily because of the survival. And then suddenly they realize, well, it's not that difficult after all. So, or it's very user-friendly also. I think this will lead to some very, very interesting innovations in future, because there a very large number of MSMEs are exposed to these tools. I would stop at this stage. We'll come back later. Thank you.
Great. So while COVID has really fast-tracked digital adoption, I would like to hear from all of you as service providers. Do you like what Anil mentioned earlier about the whole segmentation of this huge sector? So when you also cater to the sector, do you also follow some segmented approach, or is it like one big umbrella for the company? Soumya, do you want to go first?
Sure. I think, as I said, right, I mean, an approach or a solution is a function of, end of the day, it's a function of the customer value. So let's look at it. As I said, I was building up on my segmentation, like 50% in kind of rural, 40% in urban, right? If you look at it, 40% in urban that we're talking about, 76% is less than 10 employees. And by the way, if you look by vertical, 70% is either in manufacturing or retail, food and dining. So when we look at solutions, what is business? Business is about customer obsession. You want to generate value for the end customer through the value chain, right? And when we talk about cost, it is not about the SMB. It is about the whole value chain. And I'll give you an example, right? Puneet talked about digitally active with transactions. But to do the transaction, a Flipkart or an Amazon or a Paytm is bearing a piece of the cost to provide the value to the end customer. So going back to your question is, segmentation matters, the value chain matters, and the cost should be looked at as a function of the entire value chain, the value it provides to the customer, rather than just looking at what does the SMB pay.
Great. So Puneet, there's a very big debate that always goes on about on-premise, cloud, so where do you think, what is your experience with MSMEs? Where are they in this journey? And is there some are more in any, within the whole MSME bucket, are there ones that are more ahead of others?
I think the first thing, Sonal, is, and I agree with Anil and then Soumya, right, which is we all agree that you can't paint 75 million SMEs with the same brush. And
yes.
There are multiple ways of kind of slicing and dicing them. We could talk about tech adoption. Anil spoke about registered, non-registered manufacturing services. We can look at it different ways, but the idea is you got to go multiple levels deep to really solve anything for them. Otherwise, it's just too macro. I think the only point around cloud adoption is, and again, going back to just the framework, right, which is there are three or four different phases of the journey, right? It starts with what I call simplify, then it's accelerate, then it's scale, and then it's differentiate. And different SMBs could be a different part of the curve. But when you start with simplify, it's basically about keeping the lights on, right? Ensuring that the business is compliant, basic communication channels are in place. You can make payments. To Anil's point, many have been forced today to that's the only way to kind of transact with customers, keep records. And that's where technology solutions on the cloud like omni-channel, mobile-first solutions, GST invoicing software, basic communication platforms, digital ledgers are all in play, right? So that's the first stage. Once that foundation is set for SMBs, they now think about expanding their business. And to Soumya's point, that's when they look at discoverability, e-commerce, new channels, and there are different forums to do this, and there are multiple ways of solving for that. Once that is in place, the third stage is when you start scaling as an SMB, right? And this is where they're looking at managing their customer experience. It could be employee engagement, it could be productivity. We're seeing SMBs think about, and the larger SMBs like Havmor and Haldiram in India, thinking about ERP and SAP solutions to actually both cut costs and be more productive. So that's the third stage. And then the final stage is, which is where I go back to this digital SMB phenomenon, where there are some SMBs who are now kind of jumping and leapfrogging and saying, listen, can we use technology like enterprises do, right? What about analytics, right? What about AIML? Chumbak, which is a really interesting SMB, they do really interesting lifestyle brand products in India. They saw a 10x jump in their online sales during the lockdown for obvious reasons. And they're now looking at technology to personalize the experience, get the right product to the right customer through the right channel, and now looking at technology in a much different way to actually differentiate themselves versus just get the basic lights and bulbs in place.
Jagjit, do you want to, when you also work with a lot of SMBs and, like working with them on getting them loaded on the platform. So what is your experience? Or is there a differentiation when it comes to very small enterprises to ones which are a little more like 50 crore plus or 100 crore plus?
Yes, absolutely. I think so. Interestingly, it's clearly not a linear trend in terms of people's turnover. A lot of it is like Anil mentioned previously, and I think Saurabh touched upon it. There is there is a mindset part of it for SMBs, which is driving the technology leapfrog, as sort of Puneet was mentioning. And interestingly, look, I've seen very small sellers in outskirts of Tirupur having sophisticated technology solutions that they saw in China, and they've really thought that could add value to them. And I've also seen sellers in Delhi sort of having physical ledgers and sort of working with that, right? So, and they've not even done the basics of putting the house in order. They're rather sort of the only place they're investing in technology is learning consumer trends and changing their selection. So it's an interesting time. But having said that, I at least in my mind, the entire MSME space that is looking at online commerce, right? And not necessarily in that order, but there are three things which are being leveraged at scale right now, and the degree varies. But I have seen like tremendous success, for many sellers who've done very, very well online. One part of it is just using the basic data that is being provided, right? Just look at that data, what's selling, what are others doing. Just look at that in a systematic manner, and really sort of take your business to the next level, simply because that gives you enough insight, right? And there are people who are able to do that very well, just going back to who's doing well versus who is not. And there are people who have the same data, but they're not able to use it as well. The second part is about using the technology solutions to become more efficient, right? Which is your operations, your inventory management, your warehouse operations, your manpower optimization. Just using tools to make it much better. I'm not seeing very small players do that, but the moment you hit some scale, I think lots of successful online sellers are sort of adopting that and really making way forward on those. The last part is around interestingly consumer trends that I was touching upon, which I saw in one of many of the Jaipur and some of the towns in Western UPs, for example. Information is a powerful thing, and entrepreneurship in India is sort of leapfrogging in that sense. So I've seen people track things in what's happening in China, what's happening anywhere else, what is relevant for India, and actually make that happen. So while I'm painting the positive side of what I have seen, there are lakhs out there who also feel a little bit lost in the the amount of options that are available. And I think going back to some of the panelists who were mentioning, I think simplifying it at scale and making some of these trade-offs easier for the larger SMB population is going to be pretty paramount as we go forward.
With all the information deluge that is happening, Shobhit, you had some interesting observations on how do you create awareness and mindset change among MSMEs. Just because there is just so much information around that an SMB promoter can get inundated. So what is the right approach to reach them?
Something which is, I guess, very, very relevant in the current circumstances where we live in an information age. As we've discussed and as Puneet mentioned early on, that simplicity is the key. How we make it simple, how we make it, how we relate the technology to the core business problem that the MSME is trying to solve. I think is that linkage is very important. So for example, if an MSME is trying to solve the problem of access to market, growing and reaching out to customers, one of the things that is often talked about is social media marketing. Now, social media marketing as a concept may work, may do wonders for a handicraft SME, maybe working, as Jagdeep mentioned, in let's say Rajasthan somewhere, but may not be the right solution for some other SME, where the client or the potential client or the potential customer base is maybe not on social media active so much, or the product is not conducive. So it all depends on what business problem you are trying to solve. So as long as that linkage is created, it's clear in the mind of the MSME, and there is enough ecosystem, support ecosystem available. And that's where, for example, I and as EY, we work with a lot of government organizations to help and create that kind of ecosystem where there is enough touch points, enough points for the MSMEs to go and increase their awareness. So I guess that simplicity ability to link the potential technology solution to the business problem they're trying to solve. I believe that's the key of how we make it simpler for the MSME to take that call.
Do you have any thought on what do you hear from SMBs and what are the challenges they face while they have adopted now technology? Is it next really use it to initiate their business?
There has been an enormous rise in use of digital adoption in the last couple of years. GST is one example, and there are other lot of digitization has taken place in filing applications or filing reports in income tax and in labor, etc. So there has been a push from the regulatory side also, and then happened COVID. All these are very promising developments, but this sudden adoption of digital technologies have made these businesses vulnerable, and there are several challenges. Let me cite a couple of them. One is ignorance. First is they lack the systemic evaluation of risk while exposing themselves to many of these digital tools and working on the cloud, etc. Because they rely, a very large number of them rely on third party for services like on chartered accountants for filing GST, and hence unaware and unprepared about cyber security risk. Second is that meeting the cost of upgradation, and there are financial constraints because if they upgrade the systems across their factories and their offices, so capital investment is required and financial crunch is almost perennially there in the MSME segment. Then the third question is of human resources. Training and evaluating these risks by the people who are currently working in IT at the lower segments. Then there are issues of the legacy systems, interoperability, operability of different systems, mobile, laptops, desktops, cyber, cloud, etc. How seamlessly all of these things work. So I feel that there are several challenges that we need to address in the MSME space if we want them to really take advantage or take full advantage of the digital technologies that are available today.
Cybersecurity is always a concern, and there's also this mindset about how in cloud or something that is not on premise is not safe. So how do you address these kind of queries, and is it still a challenge?
So I'll say a few things, right? One, as we all know, right, in the last year, if you look at Indian businesses, I think we're all witnessing an increase in cyber attacks because we've all transitioned to remote working and so on and so forth, right? So that's the reality. The other thing is, it doesn't matter if it's an SMB, small, medium, or large, maintaining customer trust is critical for any business, right? So that's why it's important for SMBs to get this right. With cloud, it becomes easier for SMBs to manage operational performance, reliability, security, uptime. And I'll just give you an example, right? So AWS has been architected for some of the most technically advanced and secure organizations across the world. And our core infrastructure is built to satisfy those requirements, and including security requirements from global banks and corporations, right? So you bring that same amount of technology and ability to small and medium businesses in India. And then also our scale also allows us to invest a lot more, right? So be it security policing, countermeasures, technology solutions, all of that, right? Which is difficult for an SMB to do. That said, on the cloud, you always have a shared responsibility model with the customer. So for example, AWS will manage the controls and components of the host operating system, the virtualization layer, down to the physical security of the operations, but the customers are supposed to build capabilities around the applications they're building, right? And they have to build secure applications. Obviously, we'll help them, including best practices, talent, resources, and actually help them get that done, but they have to take responsibility. So I'll give you just one example to bring this to life. Deep Foods, which is an interesting business, is a manufacturing business created in 1977. And they started global operations. They started building their capabilities in India. They ran a full manufacturing and distribution system across 9 locations. 2 of those were in India. And they migrated all their DR and security systems onto AWS a few years ago. And this has helped them save millions of dollars. And when they were met with ransomware demands a few years ago, like several other corporations have, they were in a much better place to manage those, right? Because they were in a much more secure environment and they were much more agile to respond. So technology, if used well, could actually really help you solve for these challenges much better than being on-prem.
Somir, what would be your thoughts on this? Because, especially with a lot of computing devices comes a lot of cost. So what are some of the questions that you see? What are the, concerns that are raised to you when you speak to SMB customers?
Let me start with 3 data points, right? Number one, 55% of the SMBs globally actually had a ransomware attack in 2020.
Yes.
Number one, right? Number two, the more crucial and concerning piece is once they had a breach, 60% of them went out of business in 6 months. 60% of those who had a breach went out of that in 6 months. Okay. The third, that's a global data, right? We looked at, uses analysis Mason with Intel to see if you look at the SMBs here in the country, what are the top concerns or top areas that they look to invest in? Number one, no surprise, was peripherals because we had to change the business, we did a printer, what have you. Number two, 40% plus, 42% to be precise, was actually security. Okay. Now, when you think about it, so I think the question of whether security is there or not, when it's central to the business, obviously very important, right? Now, when we talk about security building on what Puneet said, it's from your device to the cloud. And Sonal, you said it right? So you have to take the conversation across the value chain, right? So on the device, for us, we are bringing in AI into the platform itself. So you do threat detection technology in the silicon against things like crypto mining or ransomware attack. So you bring that technology in. And by the way, Intel is all about working through the partner ecosystem. And I pride myself on working with Puneet's team and Jagjit's team and Shobit's team of how do you work it. So if you look at the cloud, by the way, some of the security uptime conversations is also about how does you, ingest or align your data to the local platform, and if we localize the data. We have technologies like trusted execution technology, right? So we are all about working the technology on an open platform, and then it's all about us exposing them to, the Amazons, the Flipkarts, what have you. I'm proud to say, everybody on this is on a bandwagon. Everybody understands security. I mean, we just, middle of a couple of months ago, we partnered with Puneet, like Amazon globally on something called Habana and AI. The big piece of that will be about intelligence for security. So for us, again, I would say security is paramount based on the data we're given. The technologies are available. Going back to your cost question, I think it comes back to the conversation of the value chain, right? And how much the value chain is able to get net positive value on the investment versus the customer's willingness to pay. To me, those are the trading. But I'll give you, I left it halfway. At an industry level, by the way, typically if you look at IT spending as a percentage of revenue, the average is about 8%, 8.2%.
Okay.
And then what happens is, I'm talking overall IT investment, right? And then when you really look at it, some, as I think Anil was mentioning, that if you look at professional services, it's 24%, and you go down to industrial, no surprise, 5%, right? So if you take this value chain conversation instead of just the, a unit conversation, more often than not, it'll probably trend towards that medium. That's how I should kind of think about, and I know at least Amazon, which we work closely with, works very closely in defining the price point of how SMBs can afford some of this. Hopefully, I kind of gave you a long answer, but address the key concerns about security and price.
So around this whole interoperability, and cybersecurity and being cost. So, I would like to hear from Shobit, who works with a lot of SMBs on, how do they look at these spends? And I mean, are there concerns? Do they think it's like some extra spends they have to make that is not going to give them any returns?
Yep. So, Sonal, again, I think we have discussed, various panel members have mentioned that, again, MSMEs can't be painted with the same brush.
Yes.
Everybody is at a different stage of the journey. And as Anilji also mentioned in the beginning, that there has been a lot of regulatory push to get more and more MSMEs to get and use digital technologies for managing and reporting a lot of sensitive financial information. So I would believe that there is an increased awareness among the MSMEs that yes, this is an aspect which has to be taken care of. It is a risk. It's almost like an insurance, right? I mean, what value do you put to your life, right? It's very difficult, am I paying the right premium to my insurance when I take a term insurance? So it's like putting a value to a risk. the awareness is increasing, as was mentioned. Significant amount of cyber attacks have already happened globally. SMEs, their ability to come back is definitely much weaker than the bigger enterprises. Their ability to even understand the scale of impact is not that much. So there is there increased uptake, but I believe that there is still a lot needs to be done. I think there is still a lot of, again, an awareness gap in MSMEs. Their ability to, again, comprehend the impact is low. That's where we definitely need all the ecosystem players to come together to educate, to make it simple again, for them to understand that this is not an additional cost burden on them, but this is more about future-proofing themselves and future-proofing their business. It's more a question on their sustainability than an additional burden.
Yeah, so essentially around a lot of conversations have always happened around the whole integration of the offline part of the business and when businesses come online and how do they integrate. So is that also still a concern now when we are in like 2021? Or they still work in silos? How is...
So the reality is that MSMEs, again, as Sameer also pointed out, that when we talk about MSMEs, the majority of them are businesses which are in rural areas, businesses which are very small units, and a lot of the work they do is still very much physical, so to speak. So again, for them, this bridge between physical and cyber systems is a bit far-fetched. That percentage is definitely reducing, but is it anywhere close to what we see in the Western world? I don't think so. I think a lot needs to be done. There is still a big gap between this whole, let's say, if we talk about Industry 4.0, where we say that, okay, how physical and cyber systems come together and operate seamlessly. I think it's still a bit of a pipe dream for Indian MSMEs, unfortunately. A lot of startups are really helping their fellow MSMEs in coming up with more sort of frugal techniques and technology innovation around making it cheaper and more accessible for MSMEs. But I think there is still a bit of a gap there. Is the gap reducing? Definitely it is.
Jagjit, now I would like to ask you, how is your experience with SMBs when it comes to integrating their online and offline operations?
Look, I think again, this is the journey is it's at a pretty nascent stage in my view. There is a lot to be done. In fact, if I go back to the earlier comments, I think the approach we are taking is to handhold the MSMEs right in this whole part of the journey. We have a special program, Samarth, which is dedicated to sort of working with these guys all the way from awareness to sort of making sure that they understand what needs to be done to sort of becoming digital and then present online. So at least at this stage, I still feel that the journey has just started. While we have sort of done it with lakhs of livelihood and SMEs, still there is so much more to be done. And for now, given where the maturity is, I think hand-holding along with obviously making aware of everything that's available seems to be the way forward.
All of you have spoken extensively about hand-holding even earlier. Now I would like to hear some specific examples on how do you really create outreach programs for SMBs and how do they differ for those that you have for large enterprises? Sameer, would you like to go first, please?
Sure, Sonal. I think let me kind of give two very specific examples that probably, in the context of India and COVID, right? We have Amazon and Flipkart here. See, one of the biggest thing when you're talking about sellers coming to this platform in this COVID world is about being online, ability to get their conversations or training, what have you, right, on the platform. So what we did is, we look at the SME ecosystem as our partnership. And we did, in 2 weeks' time, we helped define a very small solution around probably a NOC, a video conferencing capability working with an ISV. But any small retailer or what have you who wants to join the seller community can use that to do their video conferencing and participate. Again, small solution, tactical solution, but ability to bring into the larger opportunity of ecosystem that Amazon and the Flipkart provide, number one, right? Second, we talked about manufacturing. If you really look at manufacturing, I mean, suddenly the demand for scooters and cars went up because people didn't want to stay in public transport. There was an inherent demand in the supply chain to be able to say, how do you get the workers back to the factory? So we had this conversation around saying, hey, like I'll give an example of an organization called Bits and Bytes. It does those kind of monitoring solutions. So we quickly help them develop a wrapper so that they move from their security, a generic security conversation, to be able to find out whether they're masked or maskless, a contactless solution in terms of how they look at it, right? Now, what does it happen? It definitely helps those organizations to be part of the ecosystem and grow forward from there on. So again, and I would love to go discuss the conversation or show it around the rural piece of the discussion, right? Because in rural piece, maybe we need the government to play a role that the Flipkart and Amazon does in retail, right? Because it's more consortium-led. I mean, nowadays in India, you talk about food segmentation, if you look at it, right? In food segmentation, the efficiency and quality control that happens on manual versus trying to do with the technology makes a fundamental difference in terms of what the what actually the farmer makes, or what's the net value to that ecosystem. And I think we should move in some of those directions as well, as we talk about how can technology essentially enrich people's lives and livelihood. Those are three, very India-specific conversations, Sonal. Hopefully I addressed what you're looking for.
Saumir, you always bring in the rural perspective, given a large portion of SMBs are actually in Bharat. Anil, would you like to share your perspective on some of these points?
The business persons are a pragmatic lot. And in view of lack of effective response framework, legal remedies, and weak judicial system makes them more vulnerable than the larger counterparts. But at the same time, they also have a weak understanding and clarity on issues like data privacy and the remedial measures that may be available. So instances of security breaches have a chilling impact. That's what we are hearing all the time. So even if one thing happens, suddenly it spreads like a wildfire. And, people say, oh, don't believe them, don't try this. And as I said, it has a chilling effect. Therefore, the industry leaders need to partner with the stakeholders in improving the ecosystem as such. Not just one-off thing like a seminar here and a seminar there. It won't really work. We have to systematically assess that what are the risk points, and then we try to improve the system through the policy advocacy, through the association, and then in building the capacities of the MSMEs on the other. I think through that we would be able to make, help MSMEs in adoption of digital tools in a much better way.
Puneet, you work a lot on advocacy and developing the entire stakeholder ecosystem. So what are the next steps? While we know when it comes to technology, we have not even scratched the surface yet with respect to technology skills and tools.
I think the challenges are well understood, and I think Anil just made the point, right? I think we've spoken about accessibility, affordability, simplicity, reach, support. It's one of the most complex markets to serve. But if you take a glass half full view of life, it's a massive opportunity, right? And if you think about SMBs, and I agree with the point that was made earlier, right? They need nurturing. India has a missing middle problem, right? We've got very small SMBs which have a tough time scaling up, and that's where they need handholding and nurturing through the journey. And that's where I think I agree with the point I think Saumir made and Shobit made, right? Which is saying, listen, no one company can solve this. And it's not about a seminar or conversation here and there. The ecosystem needs to come together. We all need to work together. And I'll give you an example that we've just done something. It's something new that we tried. We created something called the Amazon Digital Suite, which is basically a easy to use set of ready-made software products powered by AWS. And we're trying to get them to SMBs across India through Amazon.in, our marketplace. And basically, that's simple softwares, right? These are softwares that help SMBs automate their day-to-day business needs like GST compliance, ledger, accounting, payments, credits, inventory management, customer support, chat. I could go on. And by the way, we couldn't have done this on our own. So we got several technology firms to come together. So ClearTax, Freshworks, GreatyHR, Vyapar, Zoho. There are several of them who came together, and we bundled them, simplified the offering, kept it at a very low price point, built the support model around it, and now using the marketplace to reach a large proportion of India and SMBs, right? things like that, and I hope this works, but we need solutions like that where several of us come together. It's none of us alone can really solve this.
Jagjit, would you like to share your perspective, as Flipkart works a lot with the government partners to bring a lot of these small artisans, vendors online?
Sure, Sonal. So I think, yeah, I would like to start by saying that, and hearing the breadth of, the challenges as well as things that we need to do. No one company can sort of, really do it. A lot of us will have to come together. That totally echo that thought. Having said that, I think what we've been doing is, to be slightly more than just being pragmatic. I think the journey has been to collaborate with multiple state governments, central governments, in whichever way possible to to reach out to even rural India for that matter, and wherever there is opportunity for the entrepreneurs to come, first digitize and then come online. We've been sort of exploring that. Just to give you two examples, we've sort of scaling a specific program called Vriddhi, which is on the aspect of sort of the entire work around that whole program is learning and development, right? So, and it is not limited to only online commerce, but sort of just helping them along the way in making sure that where they are today, where they have a product or something like that, but how can they sort of use that with technology to become successful. And that has seen pretty good traction. Another program that I just mentioned previously was Flipkart Samarth, which is again the idea there is that in the normal scheme of things, while we have a smooth sort of a platform, a lot of e-commerce companies have that, which is essentially allowing the entrepreneurs to come online and start selling. There is lots of artisans, handicrafts, a lot of and lakhs of them in India, right, who would require a reach out kind of a program, right? We with government are trying to reach out to them and then bring them in, right? So I think that's the other initiative that's being taken. Having said that, I think a lot to be done. Very excited about what we could do in the coming years, with this and many more other things.
My last question is around ROI. The biggest question SMBs have today is, how do they really optimize the spends? How much is too much? Do they really need the latest technology, tools, and software? Shall we start with Somer?
As I said, if you look at any cost equation or value equation for the customer, as I said, it starts with the customer centricity first, right? You're trying to create value for the customer and net positive value for the ecosystem around it. So take that conversation from whenever you have a device to what is the, probably you're paying for the software package, and what your software provider or a cloud provider is themselves investing around their setup, and finally, the data center setup, what have you from the cloud, right? If you take that equation in perspective, there's no one size fits all, as we talked about all the time, right? And going back to, there was Puneet had a very nice structuring around how the equations go, right? So when you probably were starting with somebody who just needs to be in the transaction or beginning just from going from a cash transaction to a digital transaction, that investment, as I said, go back to that conversation about saying, hey, am I getting about 5, 6, 7% of whatever revenue I'm making, right? Now, if you take from an ROI perspective, and similarly, as you grow up the chain to be digital literate and modern SMB, and you're talking about analytics and CRM, that number goes up, which brings capabilities into it. Number one, right? The second thing is that, like you're talking about ROI, you should realize that beyond ROI, it's all about growth. If you really want to grow as an organization, right, there are certain technical challenges that you need to be aware of if you have aspired to grow. In technical terms, we call it technical debt. Okay, and since we talked about security as an angle, if you think about it, the biggest reason where security opens up is a function of the kind of lag or differentiation between your hardware investments, your software investments, and your day-to-day investments, the integration between the three. So that I would suggest that all of us, as we aspire to grow in our own curves, we should think about the balance between investment, ROI, which is about the number I gave you, to the technical debt. Because if you create a lot of technical debt, they coming out. I'll give you examples. If you look at SMBs, 30% productivity loss for an old PC. Since you brought up the hardware gets associated with the PC, right? $17,000 per year lost in terms of
that's a big number.
Yeah. So if you look at an SMB and start talking about ROI, some of those numbers will stand out. 30% productivity loss in this environment. I'm sure the SMB will understand what it means. Right? $17,000 per year. If you're talking about saying, hey, I have a 4-year-old hardware, makes that conversation different. But it again comes back to the first question you had. It's a function of the organization. It's a function of the aspiration. It's a function of the agility. And it's a function of the net present value of the customer. So those is where I will lead off with in terms of ROI.
Puneet, you speak a lot with SMBs on cost optimization, even speaking to them about what are the services they don't need, what are the services they need and should go for. What would be your thoughts about that on ROI?
I think Samir covered it really well. I think there's 2-3 comments to add, right? One, I think Anil said this earlier, right? Which is digital and technology is no longer an optional thing to do for SMBs, right? For most of them now, that's the only way to transact business. That's the only way to get your employees to be productive. And for them to come out stronger from this crisis, they need technology. So it's become a question of survival and not an optional thing to do. Second, I think the speed of implementation has gone up, right? So digital roadmaps used to be quarters and years. Now we're getting them done in months and weeks. And I'm seeing SMBs really lead the charge. And I know it's not easy, but there are some SMBs who are moving really fast. And then third, as you think about the ROI on technology and cloud for SMBs, and I think Samir said this well, right? It's not a simple business case that we are all used to building for technology, right? It's about agility, it's about elasticity, it's about reliability, it's about the ability to innovate. Go back to the Chumbak example, right? If they didn't invest in the online channel, they couldn't sell. Right? And they could go up 10x and they could bring down their capacity when they needed it, right? And that is very hard to quantify. And that's work for us to do, right? And all of us in the ecosystem, in technology, industry bodies, consulting firms, advisory firms, we all have to come together and simplify this. Again, I keep going back to the piece, right? S is for simple in SMBs. We need to make it really simple for them. We need to bundle it. We need to price it at a price point which works for them and then support them and nurture them as they grow.
Thanks, Puneet. That was great. So, Jagjit, you spoke about artisans and and how a lot of people from these rural areas now are starting to sell online. Obviously, but selling online also has this cost to it. And I mean, in addition to all these multiple digital skills that they have to learn. So what is it that you are hearing from them? So, how have they increased their market access? Have they gone international? Are there some data points, some anecdotes you would like to share with us?
Sure. Just starting out, I think the one macro thing that Anil sort of touched upon was just the sheer number of, sort of MSMEs wanting to, come online. I think there is an absolutely huge traction that we organically see that, it's helped by, of course, sort of availability of, few certain channels. But I think what has happened is that, you see a lot of interest, right? And that interest is coming on the back of two things. One is, they've seen some success stories. They've seen examples where people have come in and they've gotten, their whole, either their livelihood or, their business going, right? So I think that part around hope and progress that India stands for, is playing out in those segments as well. The second part is, I think, the access which some of these channels are able to provide, including, of course, Flipkart, is that, artisan sitting in West Bengal or Rajasthan could not think of, sort of reaching out to, the other part of the country very easily. And that's happening. And I think just the, the cultural, sort of ethos of the country and those merchandise being valued, has also gotten traction, right? So there is a positive trend there. Having said that, I think there is a lot of work that needs to be done to, to bridge the gap of what is being sold versus what is being demanded, right? I think there is a lot of work still to be done there. Many examples, by the way, of, SMEs, starting very, very small, with very, very small operations and growing pretty well. And multiple, heartwarming stories there. Talking about international, yes, I think there are examples, but much lesser than what is happening at the domestic level, right? So there's a lot more curation that's happening, as some of these really rural, underprivileged section of the society sort of picking up. but happy to see that they're getting the digital platform, and at least domestically, it's doing very, very well.
Great. We have time for one last question, and I would like to hear from you, though a lot of you also spoke about the need to build this whole ecosystem around technology and, creating knowledge. But I would like to hear from you, and we could start with Shobhit and then followed by Anil on, if you have to give me 2 solutions or takeaways from this conversation, or on how to really accelerate the digital journey for SMBs in the country, what would those be?
So what I have seen is that the network effects among the MSMEs is huge.
Okay.
They trust and they listen to each other much more than anybody else coming out and telling them. So what I believe is that if we can identify those champions, if we can identify those early adopters, showcase the success story, as Jagjit also mentioned, and work with those champions to create that momentum, awareness within the clusters, I think that's one way that we solve multiple problems. First of all, we showcase a success story from somebody whom they trust. Therefore, the whole the trust factor improves, and they are not looking at the other players of the ecosystem trying to sell them something. Rather than that, it changes to the, okay, I'm here to help you out with a business problem. So I think that shift really helps in actually adoption of newer technology. The other, of course, is around how the other players of the ecosystem, be it government, within government also there are so many players, right? The state government has their own role. There are organizations like SIDBI, there are organizations like central government. They all have their roles to play in terms of, again, creating this awareness, how they help simplify things, how they increase the awareness around the need for adoption, and which is no longer an option, it is more of a survival. So working with those ecosystem players, coming together, having a common strategy, cluster by cluster, and working with these champions together, I think can be a good way of increasing the adoption.
Great. So working with champions from you, Mr. Mathur, Anil, what would you like to share? What would be your 2 solutions for the community?
See, the 2 points that I would like to highlight. One is, of course, that we create the awareness for building the trust by improving the ecosystem so that the security concerns are dispelled. And number 2, on the return on investment part, it is not just about the hardware and the software cost. I think those are increasingly becoming immaterial with services as services and hardware as services. You can just pay for whatever little time that you're using it. What is more important and what worries MSMEs more is the human resource cost. They would ask, "Saab khareed to nahi chalayega kaun?"
The talent.
Chalayega kaun means you have to hire a person, and hiring a person means a cost. So it's an annual cost, and then you have to pay 30% social security, and all those issues are there. So we have to find solutions to these problems that so that they are no more as a hurdle in adoption of these digital tools.
So you have raised this big problem of tech talent for smaller communities.
I mean, tech talent, not just in terms of
and the cost.
And the cost. How we can bring this down. So what we can do, for example, if I elaborate, is that when we are selling the idea for adoption of these technologies, we also come up with an idea that, okay, you don't have to hire a new person. We'll train your person, your existing staff. And you would agree that, there's hardly anything in these digital technologies that would require a digital engineer to really run most of these services. It could be done by any person who is in +2, or you can say graduate. So the idea is to, whatever concerns these guys have would be 2. One is security, other is the cost. And cost not just about the hardware, but about the human resources.
So essentially the go-to-market strategy for these firms then should also mean not just training them about the software, hardware, but also training their manpower that they have.
True.
Right. So that was a very valid point, Anil.
Sonal, can I leave? Somebody is waiting for me. I'm so sorry.
Okay, sure.
Dear
So,
friends,
yeah,
I'll come back to you later and talk to you later separately.
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, that is fine. We're anyways done with the conversation. I'll just take last comments from Puneet and Shobhit. Puneet, would you like to share your thoughts?
Sure, Sonal, it was a fascinating conversation. Learned a ton. I think 3 takeaways for me quickly. I think the first we agree on is that SMBs move India forward, right? The backbone of Bharat. We've all said it. 1/3 of our employment, half of our exports. And for us to move India forward, we need to solve this problem. I think second, technology is the solution here. Technology will move SMBs forward. SMBs need that to survive, as we said, for discoverability, for scale, for growth, for profitability. Technology needs to be the solution here. That said, technology needs to be massively simplified. I think the onus is on all of us, right? I mean, shame on me or shame on all of us if we can't solve this problem. And we need to reach SMBs. 60% or more of them are in tier 2, tier 3 cities, as we said. We need to simplify. We need to bring the price point down. We need to nurture them. We spoke about talent and skilling. It's a big part of our mission and how we're trying to do. But lots to do. But I'm kind of very optimistic about the opportunity ahead of us. And if we can put our minds and strengths together, we can solve this.
Great, Puneet. So you have actually summarized the discussion in just like these couple of sentences for all of us. Thanks for that. Jagjit, what would be your two takeaways on how do we really get, from a platform perspective, how do we have like all the small businesses on some or the other platforms where they are selling online and to not just India, but across the globe?
Right. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think there is a good amount of summary ahead of us. If I were to sort of two practical on the ground kind of, sort of comments if I have to make. See, one part of it is, we talked about the whole manpower training and all of that bit. I personally feel, there is a lot of talent out there which which can be. I think it's about the training modules that we develop. If you can do that in the smaller towns and places, I've seen very talented sort of folks, younger generations who can pick this up and help out, right? So I think the easier we make the training modules for whatever needs to be done, it will get picked up and hopefully it'll be served well. I think the second part, and I'll continue to talk about the people aspect and the trainer aspect. I think one trend which I particularly feel, I think we have to move from the mindset of taking a worker and sort of making him do work versus creating more entrepreneurs within the within the SMB sort of family that is sort of working together, right? I think the more ownership there is, you have people coming together and creating this small business unit, the easier it will be for for that problem to get solved. So, and I see that trend happening. That's why I say that I think from a mindset of sort of just being worker to sort of being partners is what would take it forward, and solve a lot of these problems.
So more ownership, entrepreneurial opportunities, rising up the ladder. From you, Shobhit, what would be your two key takeaways from this? You have already spoken about champions, so please give us some more.
Yeah, no, sure. So I think Puneet, Jagjit both quite summarized it quite well. What I feel is that nowadays business owners and rather I think all of us, when we go and shop for something, we look for performance. We are looking for the end objective. We are looking for, okay, how is this going to ultimately help solve a problem that I have, rather than looking at things in a product or a service kind of compartment. So, and I'm sure, I mean, Somer, Jagjit and Puneet will all agree that when they have conversations with MSMEs, they are not looking at that, okay, sell me a CRM a package, or sell me a particular kind of let's say, or give me or get me registered as a vendor in Flipkart, for example. They are looking at that, okay, what does it mean for me? So this whole shift by the service providers to actually go and become a partner and help understand their pain point and work towards improving their performance in a more holistic way, I think will really help improve the adoption and again bridge that trust gap that may exist.
Great, thanks, Shobhit. So we have got some interesting insights on how to optimize ROI, how to train, train not just on the services, but also the human resources part of it, on how to integrate even the rural part of SMBs, and also now how to create champions from the SMBs to really accelerate the digital adoption amongst the community. Thanks a lot, gentlemen, for these insights. It was a great discussion. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. Really appreciate your time and hope to see you again for some other panel that we will do. Thank you.
Thank you for pulling it together, Sonal.
Thank you so much.